Okay, here are the ways that you can save the battery on your phone. The first thing is your phone actually has a brightness. You can go in and you can change the brightness to be brighter or not as bright. I'm not suggesting you have a dark phone to save the battery, but some people have their phone much brighter than they'd even want it to be, and they don't know it. So on that piece of paper, I walk you through where to go to change the brightness so you can decide if you can have it a little bit darker, which will save some of the battery life. You have the Wi-Fi capability on your phone, but if you're not in a Wi-Fi area, you want to turn off the Wi-Fi signal. So let me walk you through this. In my apartment, I turn on the Wi-Fi on my phone so that I can look at a movie if I want to, or so if I'm looking at an email, it's coming to me a little bit faster. I'm using less of my cellular data plan. That's why I have the Wi-Fi on in my apartment. But the moment I walk outside of my apartment, the phone, which still has the Wi-Fi set and turned on, is starting to search for a Wi-Fi signal. It's going, where's there a Wi-Fi? Where can Abby get Wi-Fi? Where? And I'm walking along and there's no Wi-Fi that I can access because it's all covered by passwords. But the phone keeps on looking because it's been instructed by you to find the Wi-Fi signal. And that uses up battery. So the best way for you to save some battery life on your phone is when you're in a Wi-Fi area, turn on the Wi-Fi so you can take advantage of the speed. And when you leave the Wi-Fi area, flick off the Wi-Fi so the phone isn't looking for a Wi-Fi signal while you're moving about. That will save you some battery. Another way to save battery is, so you've got your phone on you, you have someplace you're going. You know you have to make a phone call at that destination, but your battery is telling you it's in the red zone and it's telling you it only has 10 or 15% left. Your instinct is turn off the phone, let it rest, and turn the phone back on when you arrive in your location so that you can make that one phone call that you have to make before the phone dies? No. The turning off of the phone and turning on of the phone sucks so much power that you might not be able to make that phone call. Instead, turn the phone onto airplane mode. Airplane mode doesn't allow a signal to come in or out of the phone. So you can't get text messages, you can't get emails, you can't get phone calls. It's in airplane mode, and it basically will hover where it's at, and it won't use up any battery. So airplane mode is a better thing for you to do when you're down to the wire than to turn the phone off and turn it back on, because that requires a certain amount of juice to do that. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. So airplane mode is really handy, even if you're not down to the wire, but you know you're going to have the phone on you for a long time that day. If you don't need to get any phone calls or any text messages, just flick it into airplane mode during that stretch of time. Yes?
I heard this morning that if you have apps working in the background, that does not take up any battery.
That's right. It used to be, there was an article that came out about a year ago saying that every time you use a different app on your phone, you should shut it down all the way. And then they came out and said that's wrong, actually. Those apps are not sucking up battery life in the background. So don't worry about shutting all of your apps after you're done using them. You don't have to shut down the apps.
Yeah, they tested a phone with no apps on it and one with apps running, and it was the same exact.
It was sort of logical to think that they did use up battery.
Except for GPS, though. GPS does.
Wait, GPS, you don't have the GPS running the whole time because that will use up battery. Somebody said, where do you go to turn off the airplane mode? You go to the back of the room at the end of the talk and get my handout. Because on the handout it shows you exactly where you can turn off airplane mode. I wanted to make it as simple as possible for everybody. So whatever I'm telling you is actually on the handouts, it's in the book, or it's on the website. So there's access to it. The last thing is your phone, oh, you have a question?
So, in other words, when this gentleman asked us to shut off our phones, could we have put it in airplane mode and that would have been sufficient?
Yes, so here are the three options. You're going to the theater and they ask you to shut off your phone. I am so pathological about not interrupting a play that when I used to have a flip phone, I wouldn't just turn off the phone, I would actually take the battery off the back of it. So like, I am so determined to not be that person. But you have three options. You could turn the phone all the way off, which means there is not a chance it will disturb anybody in any way. You could put it into airplane mode, which means there's not a chance it will disturb anybody in any way. Or you could do what most people do, is you put it into vibrate mode, and so during the play, when your phone is ringing, your bag's going, like of all the choices, I actually think it's not the one that people should be doing, because it's like there's a snake in the bag trying to get out of the bag. So you're better off using airplane mode or turning it all the way off. Airplane mode cuts off any signal coming to or from the phone. Yes?
I found that if I'm accidentally turning it off, I didn't want it to happen,
Uh-huh.
If I go into airplane mode, it'll stop the turn off then.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And so let's talk for just a second about design. So, I finally bought the new iPhone 6 because I had to. When people say it's user-friendly, ask me the question, why would the power button be across from the volume button? So when I go to change the volume, the phone goes off. Could they make a phone call to me and I could tell them how to change the usability issues on this? So it's not you, it's bad design. People rave about how great the design is, and you're like, no, the design is not that great. Anyway, we need to go on here. So, your phone also has the ability to fall asleep after a certain period of time. The longer you let your phone be awake when you're not using it, the more battery it uses up. That's called the auto lock feature. And so you want to be sure that you don't want to have it be that it shuts off while you're looking at it. But I set mine at 2 or 3 minutes, and that's enough time that, I'm done with what I'm doing, I put it in my pocket, and then it falls asleep. If you have an Android phone, I think what happens is when you go to set it, you're looking for auto lock, and it doesn't say auto lock. I think it, oh shoot, I'm gonna find out for you guys. Send me an email if you have an Android phone, because I think the directions, there's a word that changed since I did the directions. So send me an email if you have trouble finding it, and I'll give you the answer. So let's move on to other features about your phone. One feature that I use, and again, there's a handout that walks you all through text messaging. Text messaging is not making a phone call on the phone. Is that somebody's phone just went off? Like a protester at a rally. Nobody should be punished for making noise. I am a firm believer that as long as they're being polite and they regret it, we're not going to get upset about it. Nobody's going to get punched. Nobody's going to get yelled at. It's just, oops, it happens, and it's a good example, right? So here we are with texting. Why would you want to text? One, you would want to text because it's what your grandchildren are doing, and it's the best way to communicate with them.
I hate it.
I know. I hate it too, except you're going to the movies, and you're the one in charge of finding the seat in the movie, right? Your friend is arriving late. So you found the seat and you're like, they're never gonna find me. There's 600 people in this movie theater, how are they gonna find me? If you sent them a text message, when they arrive at the theater, they're gonna look at their phone and see the text message, and they're gonna find you. So you don't need to call them. They don't need to call you. The message is gonna be seen on the screen. There are times that text messaging to me comes in super duper handy. So what I've done in case you decide to venture forth is, it's all about these abbreviations. So are you home instead of typing out are you home? Or game for dinner using the number 4. So there's a handout in the back of the room that gives you sort of a lexicon of these abbreviations that happen with text messages. So for the movie, it's 5th row, 3rd seat over, see ya, right? I just abbreviated it because it's a smaller format. There's another thing with text messaging. Again, there's a handout in the back of the room, and there's a video about this on my website about how to use emojis. And yes, that is a typo up there. It's emojis, not enjoy. I didn't do that. Somebody on my website did. But emojis are visual images that take the place of words. So if somebody wanted to go for a bike ride with me, they might just send me a picture of a bicycle with a question mark, right? Sometimes you just send somebody a little love. You send them a little face with hearts in the eyes or whatever it is. Emojis are actually really fun to use. I think it makes text messaging actually much more entertaining. So it's like a second keyboard on your phone. And I show you the steps about how to access that keyboard so that you can send emojis. The other features with your smartphone and your tablet that you may or may not be taking advantage of, it offers a calendar. And I know that looking at this calendar doesn't seem to compare to that lovely leather-bound thing that you've been carrying around for decades. It took me about 9 months where I was carrying both my phone and my calendar. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm typing into this one and I'm writing into this one. But I was so nervous about it, I didn't want to give this one up. And finally I did, and it's been heaven. An important thing for you to know because of this issue about the cloud is you don't need to type all your calendar events on your phone, which is so teeny. Instead, you can go onto the internet and you can type all of your calendar events on the internet, and you just get to look at them on your phone. So you know when the doctor's appointments are. You know when the birthdays are. You can actually set an alarm so that you don't forget on a given day that you've got a doctor's appointment. It'll remind you a half an hour before so you make the appointment. Your leather-bound book can't do that for you. So I challenge you to start to try to use the calendar on your device and see if maybe having the calendar in your hand, since you're carrying a smartphone anyway, doesn't prove to be more helpful to you. There's a clock. on your phone. And I know, I stopped wearing a watch a long time ago. It's a weird thing. Watches turn off on me. They don't work. I tried ring watches, only if it's a necklace. It's something in my skin. So I haven't worn a watch for many, many years. But it isn't just that your phone offers you the time. Most of the watch features offer you the world clock. You can actually see times in different time zones. There's a stopwatch. There's a timer. There's also the capability of using it for an alarm clock. So when you're traveling, instead of carrying that travel alarm, you have an alarm clock built into your smartphone that you can use. And a little side note, a lot of people turn off their phone at night because you hear the blings of the text messages or the emails coming in. If you use the alarm feature, you can silence your phone, turn off the ringer, and it will still make the alarm sound in the morning. So it isn't that you set the alarm and you've got to endure the bings and bops and boops that happen when text messages come in and emails come in. You can turn on the alarm and turn off the ringer. So use that silencing, the vibrate mode, and the ringer will still be audible when it announces itself in the morning. I'm a big fan of using the clock on the phone. I have it set now, it's going to ring in whenever I've spoken for 48 minutes. The GPS, I don't know how I ever did this kind of traveling before there was a GPS. I remember doing a tour of the computer user groups in Arizona, and I had to have a printout of each places that I was going, but I had to do it in such a way that it was symbols that I would understand, because I obviously couldn't read while I was driving. It was horrible. The GPS on your phone is spectacular. It's so helpful to get you from place to place. And not just because you're driving, sometimes you're walking. Sometimes you're in a foreign place and there's a mall you're trying to get to and you're having a devil of a time figuring out where it is. You can just set the GPS and you can look and you can see where it is. What I often do with the GPS, if I know I'm walking from point A to point B and I actually don't want to deal with the GPS, I'll get on the GPS before I leave. And I will ask it to give me the walking directions from point A to point B, and then I'll do a screen grab of what's on the screen of my phone, and it gets stored in my photographs. So let me walk you through that for a second. You can do screen grabs on your phone, which means I'm looking at the map of where I'm going to be walking in a while. I don't know that I'm going to even have GPS signal wherever it is I am. Maybe I won't have the signal. You can capture the screen of your phone. On an iPhone, you press the button, the round button at the bottom and the power button simultaneously, and it takes a picture of whatever's on the screen. I have to look up for you what it is on an Android, and I will email you if you ask me. But you can do a screen grab of that map, so you basically have this map with you. If you're traveling internationally, and you aren't going to have your phone on when you're walking around Paris because it's going to take so much of your cellular data plan, you can capture all of those maps for your walking tour as screen grabs on your phone and have them stored in your photos. So I think the GPS serves a much greater purpose than just being something that you have in your car. If you're going to use it in your car, you don't want to have it down in your lap, you don't want to have it in your hand, you want to get a holder somewhere so that's actually sitting up so that you can see it easily while you're driving, because we want to have as little distraction as humanly possible when we're driving. The settings. I welcome you to empower yourself to customize your technology. Before smartphones and tablets, I used to tell people, go into your computer and go into the settings and see if you can change the window, and see if you can change the wallpaper on your computer, or change the trim around a window. I welcome you to do that, because what it does is it makes it less scary. It demystifies the technology. However, there's a caveat. Before you change anything on your phone or on your computer to become more familiar with it, write down how you got there. So as you're doing it, you're going to write the steps of this is where I got to where I was, and write down what the setting was before you changed it. Because after you change it, you may discover you don't like the samba music anymore for your ringer. You want to have it be back what it was, and not only do you not remember how to get where it was, but you don't remember what it was, and that's not about age. That can happen to anybody. So I'm not throwing stones at us for being digital immigrants. I think it's a good idea, and actually what I did was, it's how I sort of started writing the book. I kept those pages of my notes so that a year from now, when I want to change the ringer again, I was able to look at my notes and go, oh, I wrote down how I did. Thank goodness I wrote it down. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. So it's a good idea to write down notes and keep them in one place, because chances are you'll take the same action another time. The apps. So here you've got a smartphone or a tablet. It came with several things pre-installed on it. It has the GPS pre-installed. It has the calendar pre-installed. It has the clock pre-installed, but there might be other programs that you want to have on your smartphone. I give you again in the back of the room a list of 100 free apps that you can put onto your phone. I say free because I don't pay for anything. I don't add music that I pay for. I don't pay for movies. I only do free things on my phone because I think it's a slippery slope when you start paying. You think it's 99 cents here and 99 cents there, and all of a sudden it's $10, and then it's, so I don't do that, but I'm a very frugal Yankee. But an app basically is a program that you can add to your phone. These are the 3 different buttons, depending on the kind of phone you have, that you would tap on. The one in the far left is Apple's App Store. So that's what you tap on to add an app to your phone. The one in the top right is Microsoft. So if you have a Microsoft device and you want to go to their App Store, that's what you tap on. And the bottom one in the center is Google's store. And so if you have an Android device, that's what you tap on. Again, there's a video on my website that walks you through how to add an app to your device. But let me give you an example of one. I live in New York City. I teach computers one-on-one in people's homes. So every 2 hours, I'm on the road going someplace else. And sometimes I need to use the ladies' room. Charmin has an app called Sit or Squat. And basically, what it does is, it finds you the nearest public toilet, and it even has reviews, so that you can look up and see what people say about the toilet. Not reviews of what people do in the toilet, reviews of the toilet.
No,
So,
all those reviews were piss poor.
So don't underestimate how fun it is to have apps on your device. And sometimes, I'll load an app on and I'll love it for a while and then I'll forget about it and it just, sort of disappears into the background. It may be that you don't use very many of them, but I highly recommend you take a peek at that list and try to add one to your phone so at least you learn how to add it to your phone. If I am ever on life support, unplug me. Then that's my phone saying, I've been speaking for 48 minutes. If I'm ever on life support, unplug me, then plug me back again and see if that works. Here's what happens for a lot of people. With their smartphones, their computers, their tablets, they leave them on indefinitely. And actually, it helps your phone to be turned off and be turned on again. It sort of lets it reset. So if there's ever a moment when your phone is misbehaving, suddenly your text messages aren't working right, or you couldn't open up that app that you could use before, or it's running slowly for some reason, don't just put it to sleep. Physically turn it off. When you turn it off, you know it's going off because something shows up on the screen saying that it's turning off. Turn it off and let it rest, and then turn it back on again after a couple of minutes. That is true of your modem. When your modem isn't working, turn it off. Sometimes unplug it. With a lot of these devices, I'll go to the modem because it's the call I get most of the time. Somebody will tell me I can't connect to the internet. And I always say, well, how did you try to connect? Firefox, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Safari. If you can't connect using one of those browsers, maybe try the other one because it could be that the browser's misbehaving. Or have you tried a secondary website address? Because sometimes it's the website address that's misbehaving and not your internet connection. But at the end of the day, if you've tried several browsers, you've tried different websites, you don't think it's your computer, the thing to do is go look at your modem. And the best thing to do is look at your modem before there's a problem and make a note of what the lights look like when it's working properly. So that when you look at it now and one of the lights is different, you know right away, oh, it is the modem. Or when the lights are off because somebody unplugged it to vacuum and they forgot to plug it back in again. That is the most common problem I have with printers and modems, is somebody will say, my printer's not working, they'll call me freaking out, and I'm like, well, is the power light on? No. Follow the plug. Oh, I vacuumed yesterday. So with the modem, we want to keep track of what the good lights look like, because usually it just means unplug it, turn everything off, let it sit for a minute, go have a martini because you're more upset than the technology. So you want to calm down too. And then plug it back in again and turn it back on again. What we don't want to do is keep on tapping on it. With people using computers, I used to call them over-clickers. That somebody would have a problem and they would just keep clicking the mouse thinking somehow that would solve the problem, and now they really confuse the computer. Now we're over-tappers with our phones. We think if we can't do something right, we're just going to keep on poking at it till it really doesn't do you or the phone a service. So we want to just be gentle. Yes?
Yes, could you go back and show us how to use the GPS and grab it, the screen?
Sure. I will tell you, I don't remember how.
Okay.
So what he wants is, he wants to know how you do a screen grab.
Right.
I can only give you out of my memory how to do it with an iPhone. I can email you how to do it with an Android because I don't remember the steps. With an iPhone, whatever's on the screen of your phone, at any moment, whether it's your airplane boarding pass, whether it's a map that you're looking at. If you press the circle at the bottom and the power button simultaneously, you'll hear a sound. It'll sound like a photograph is being taken. And what happens is it goes into your photo album. So you get a screen grab of what you're looking at. I don't remember the steps with an Android. I think it's the volume and the power button, but you can send me an email and I'll confirm that
No,
for
I
you.
just see the circle at the bottom.
The circle?
Other circle, what are you talking about?
The circle at the bottom and the power button. Simultaneously,
Right on the side, this one.
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
It takes a picture of
it takes a picture of your screen. I swear, I wouldn't lead you astray. Yes.
They may recognize it if you call it a screenshot.
Or a screenshot, I'm sorry, a screenshot and a screen grab are two words for it's the same thing. Screenshot, screen grab. I do it all the time. I do it when I've got a boarding pass. If I do an electronic boarding pass, I'll take a picture of it on my phone in case I lose my signal at the airport. I've got the picture of the boarding pass so I can use it when I go through. Let me just go to, so I just want to wind this up because we're going to run out of time here. This is my website. AskAbbyStokes.com. It's a free website. Everything on there is free. I want to walk you through some of the features here so you can take advantage of it. Are there any retired librarians or teachers or people married to them? You are the backbone of our society. We would not be human beings without librarians and teachers. So what I did on my website was I created a page just for teachers and librarians because they're often the go-to people for technology questions. So there's a list of printable handouts. Some of them you've gotten, but there's a list of other handouts here that are obviously anybody visiting my website can access those handouts. So be sure to go to the teachers and librarians page and see if there's something that you want to look at or you want to print. As I said, in the book, I could only have so much information. So I have 16 online video tutorials. They're all free to look at. They're all a little bit less than 5 minutes. I think some are 3 minutes. And underneath each of them are the words, click here for printable instructions. And what will come up for you are just the instructions you have in the back of the room that are step-by-step instructions that are cross-platform, that you can print so you can actually do what you've seen in the video by looking at the instructions in front of you while you complete the task. I also have a newsletter on my website. The newsletter's free. I usually send out about 2 a month. When I was here last year, I had the newsletter sheets in the back of the room, and everybody signed up for the newsletter. And if you haven't received a newsletter from me yet, unfortunately somebody walked away with that sheet last year with their handouts. So a lot of you who wanted to get on the newsletter didn't. So I've separated the sheets. The sheets that you take home with you are in the back of the room. The newsletter sign up is over here. I just ask that you write very clearly so that I can read your handwriting if you do it here as opposed to signing yourself in. And that is what is on my website. So I'm going to take a minute here and answer some of your questions, and we'll try to.
Let's give out your great hand.
Oh.
What a wonderful presentation. Okay.